Hi, good morning, and welcome to Practical Emotional Intelligence Conversation. Thank you so much for joining today. And as you all know, we have a very special guest today. So let's,
We are trying something new today.
yeah,
So instead of conversations, we are going to have a short, small, live comedy show
yeah.
from Madby.
So Madbai, I've seen her a long back, 2, 3 years back maybe. And she was just sitting having a conversation with all of us, in a like shirt or something and a top, and then suddenly after 15 minutes I saw her wearing like a 9 yard kind of a thing on the same thing and cracking jokes. So that's my interaction, and it was really really nice. So, and apart from that, she has extensive work in diversity and inclusion as well. So I feel it's a very unique combination of comedy and such a serious and sensitive topic of DNI.
And I don't know, this is my guess, but I believe that Nikki, you are not from Indian origin. Is that right? What is your nationality?
That's confidential.
Okay, but can you confirm that?
There are strands here and there.
Okay, okay. So I suppose that that makes it even more interesting
Yeah,
to hear you talk in that accent and how you present it.
quite literally a global citizen now.
Yes.
Okay,
But I've
okay.
lived in Pune for 35 years now, so
Oh wow.
Great,
I don't think I am non-Indian anymore.
Okay.
wonderful. That's great.
See, you all are being non-inclusive, huh, now. You want to outcast me?
अच्छा अच्छा
We are in diversity
yeah,
again.
we are trying to opposite go on the opposite end so that you can bring together your point.
Yeah, I'll
I
share, at a later point, I'll share a story related to this actually, of how we create unconscious biases the moment we ask somebody where they are from.
yeah, that
Yeah,
happens all
which
the
is why I like to leave people guessing always.
Great, great. Looks good.
Actually, we had a call 3 days back on listening skills and how, when we come to know anything about this person, or if we know about this person, how we listen changes. I think that was Sunday, last Sunday or something. Okay, so that's about it. And here's presenting you Matt Bye. Go ahead.
हाँ नमस्कार मंडली, कैसे है मैडम? ये तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? अंबिका मैडम और
अच्छा अच्छा
सचिन दादा, हाँ तुमको नमस्कार। और मैड भाई को तुम्हारे कार्यक्रम पे फॉर इनवाइटिंग, थैंक यू सो मच। दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी न्यू फॉर मैड भाई, क्योंकि कैसे आई एम फ्रॉम विलेज ऑफ क्वांटमपुरम एंड इन आवर विलेज वी आर नॉट हैविंग दिस स्मार्टफोन एंड ऑल। तर अभी नया नया सीखते हैं ये यूज करने को, and personal challenges are there for me or for any person from village who is not having enough education. तर ये सब एडजस्ट करके सीखने को थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है। और बीच में तुमको ऐसा हंसने का रहेगा ना तो अनम्यूट करके करने का, नहीं तर कैसा लगता है कौन सुन रहा है नहीं सुन रहा है और अपन इस दुनिया में अकेला बड़बड़ किए जा रहे हैं, तो इट फील्स वेरी ऑड। ओके, तो इतना लंबा अभी कैसे परफॉर्मेंस देने को म्हणजे यू आर नीडिंग पीपल इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू, सो इट बिकम्स मोर एंटरटेनिंग। बट सिंस देर आर नो पीपल, I will share little bit story of personal story of Madbai with you. So I was actually my name is Madhulika originally, एंड कैसा हो गया कि हमारा जो विलेज है ना क्वांटमपुरम का, वैसे तो इट्स अ वेरी नाइस विलेज, लेकिन कैसा है उधर भी देर इज वन कस्टम और चाइल्ड मैरिज। और ये चाइल्ड मैरिज जो है ना, means balika vadu. Because of this, my family have gotten me married at very young age, tender age, 10 years old. So at this time na manje I was not able to understand everything or anything in fact. And they married me off to this crazy man called Ganpat. The Ganpat है ना, as we grew actually what happened, we started realizing कि हमारे life में बहुत सारा problems आने वाला है. ऐसा we did not think initially when we got married. In due course of time, all these things have come up. Our Ganpat है ना, actually one major problem happened in our life कि Ganpat was not able to function properly, in certain aspects of life. उसके वजह से ना we were not able to have child. अभी गांव में तुमको मालूम है कितना बड़ा लफड़ा रहता है, बच्चा तो मांगता ही है, मीन्स व्हेन यू गेट मैरिड यू हैव टू हैव चाइल्ड. तो ऐसा नहीं हो गया तो हमारा जो शादी है ना, इट स्टार्टेड हैविंग लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स. और गांव के लोग को ऐसा मालूम नहीं रहता है, समझता नहीं है कि व्हाट इज इमोशनल प्रॉब्लम, व्हाट इज फीलिंग, सिर्फ जीने का ऐसा. तर मेरे को ना बहुत डिप्रेशन हो गया. और वो गणपत है ना साला, वो भी बहुत दारू पीने लगा. अभी उसका दारू पीने के प्रॉब्लम की वजह से ही वॉज कमिंग एंड बीटिंग मी अप एवरी डे, कि बच्चा चाहिए, लाइफ इज नॉट गुड. तो ऐसा करके कुछ टाइम निकाला मैंने. लेकिन क्या रहता है, एक दिन है ना मेरे सपने में रानी लक्ष्मी देवी बाई आई. एंड व्हाट शी हैव सेड इज दैट यू हैव इनर स्ट्रेंथ. और तुम्हारा इनर स्ट्रेंथ जो है ना वो लेके दूसरा जगह पे जाने का और कुछ करने का लाइफ में, बरं का. सो I decided that I will leave Ganpat and run away from village and come to city. And closest city was Pune city, to our village. So when I came here, fortunately, they म्हणतात that see the prepared person gets something. तब मेरे को मिला. इधर आने के बाद ना मेरे को नौकरी मिल गया. I started working in house of people. And every house that I work, क्योंकि मेरा स्वभाव ही अच्छा है ना, दैट वे आई एम वेरी माइंडफुल पर्सन, लाइक ऑल ऑफ यू आर ट्राइंग टू बी जस्ट नाउ. ये माइंडफुलनेस के ऊपर सेशन रखता है ना तो मैं अच्छा करता है. तर बिकॉज आई एम बाय नेचर माइंडफुल पर्सन, तर मेरे को सब बॉस लोग बहुत प्यार से सिखाया. ऑल दिस लेडीज दे टॉट मी डिफरेंट थिंग्स. म्हणजे वो कॉन्टिनेंटल खाना बनाने का, चाइनीज बनाने का, और ऐसा ऐसा अलग अलग काम कैसा करने का सबके हिसाब से. And then one day one lady, she gave me smartphone, mobile phone, second hand था उसके पास. पर दिल अच्छा है तो दे दिया. अभी इतना महंगा नया फोन मेरे को कौन लेके देगा ना, सब सेकंड हैंड ही देते हैं. सो आई स्टार्टेड यूजिंग. पर क्या हो गया, इतना सब लाइफ में अच्छा हो गया, मीन्स जॉब, आई लेफ्ट गणपत एंड मूव्ड ऑन विथ माई लाइफ. एंड सिटी में आने से इतना कुछ देखा, देयर इज सो मच इन द वर्ल्ड टू डिस्कवर. आज ये मोबाइल फोन में ना मेरे को एक और ऐप डाला, और टिंडर, सबको मालूम हो जाएगा टिंडर. हाँ, एवरीबडी इज ऑन टिंडर. तुम्हारा भी प्रोफाइल देखा है मैंने उधर. हाँ देखो, सब लोग है उधर. अपना खुद का फोटो थोड़ा ब्लर करके ना, पर सब लोग प्रोफाइल डालता है. और कुछ लोग ने मेरे को पहले बोला दिस इज नेटवर्किंग, पर मेरे को समझा नहीं रे व्हाट काइंड ऑफ नेटवर्किंग. मेरे को लगा इंटरनेट अपना चलता रहेगा तो मोबाइल चलेगा, म्हणजे नेटवर्किंग. तो उधर है ना मैंने बहुत सारा कोशिश किया, बिकॉज अपना लाइफ तो लोनली होता है ना, यू नीड पार्टनर. तर आई हैव स्वाइप लेफ्ट राइट टू मेनी पीपल, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली आई वॉज नॉट सक्सेसफुल. एंड बाद में मेरे को समझा एक्चुअली दिस टिंडर percentage of being successful in finding somebody is very low. Because for some reason or the other you will not be a good match. And 90% people ना they don't come to meet you also. सिर्फ ऐसा खोटी का डालता है उधर, और कि आएगा टिंडर, हो we will meet, पर ये एरा बनाता है. They just want to chat on internet, और अपने पास ये सब फालतूगिरी करने को टाइम नहीं है रे. देखो सुबह जाने का, झाड़ू पोछा लगाने का, घर में काम करके बर्तन वगैरह धो के और फिर निकल जाने का अपना लाइफ में. फिर शाम के टाइम पे ना लोगों का मन साफ करती है मैं, ऐसा टॉक्स वगैरह देखे. सो अपने लिए डिस्कवर करने का रहता है कि कैसा तुम क्रिएटिविटी यूज कर सकते हैं. एवरीबडी इज हैविंग क्रिएटिविटी इन देयर माइंड, इन देयर सोल. तर तुम भी ढूंढने का रे तुम्हारा खुद का क्रिएटिविटी. घर पे ऐसा बैठा ना, अभी सब लोग बोर आता है. देखो भाई लोग के लिए ना बहुत टफ टाइम है ये, बिकॉज वी आर सिटिंग एट होम. और अभी 1 महीने का पैसा देगा, अभी गवर्नमेंट ने ये नहीं निकाला तो तुम और आगे हमको पैसा देगा क्या काम पे नहीं आएगा तो भाई लोग के लिए ना बहुत ये मुश्किल टाइम है. और हम लोगों को तो समझता भी नहीं, म्हणजे अपना फ्री टाइम के साथ क्या करने का, सिर्फ ड्यूटी करने का दिन भर, तो ऐसा रहता है. तो ये मेरा शॉर्ट स्टोरी है क्या, अभी बाकी का ना नेक्स्ट टाइम बताएगा तुमको. हाँ, थोड़ा पैसा डालने का मेरा अकाउंट में, क्यों तो अभी जॉब भी नहीं है. हाँ, और दूसरा बोलता है ये कॉल पे हमारा एक दोस्त भी आया है, पंकज दादा, उसका इंट्रो तुम लेना बाद में. तर साइनिंग ऑफ. हाँ ये, हाँ राम राम पंकज दादा, कैसे तू. ये पंकज दादा है ना, हमारा पार्टनर है, बहुत मस्त आदमी है. पार्टनर बोले तो ऐसा कुछ लफड़े का नहीं है, गलत सोचने का नहीं, काम का पार्टनर है. सब क्रिएटिव आइडियाज वो बनाता है, डिजाइन बनाता है. तो एनीवे, साइनिंग ऑफ फॉर टुडे. नेक्स्ट टाइम तुमको ज्यादा स्टोरी सुनाएगा मैड बाई का. ओके, थैंक यू, नमस्कार.
Thank you,
अभी मैं जाते हैं.
नमस्कार.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Nikki.
Hi,
Hi. Sorry, I came in slightly late, but I think I got most of it, at least the tender part of it.
that was the important one.
Yes.
Yes. So that was a bit of mad buy for you.
Thank you.
Lovely.
So,
This is,
Nikki,
yeah.
so can I ask you some questions on this?
Yes,
you just
yes.
presented? Okay. So, through this short comedy skit, what was the message that you wanted to deliver?
Yeah, so not just, I mean, right now I wanted to, of course, give the message that, you've got to take action for yourself, for your future. And, a lot of people keep complaining that nothing is happening, nothing is moving forward. But it's important to see what you can do, what you can put out there, rather than what's not happening, or looking at things that were supposed to happen and, were taken away, were cancelled at the moment. And generally through the Mad Bhai character, I address various social issues, that people don't talk about, like depression, anxiety, or child marriage, sexuality. Another thing about the Mad Bhai is that she's actually bisexual. So Mad Bhai has 3 meanings, because Bai also means maid in Marathi. It also means lady actually in Marathi, and a maid, and also BI for bisexual. So I address various social issues, and of course generally it's a 45-minute act, so you get to interact with people, and it's a longer story.
And when you perform this in corporates, what are
Yes.
some of the topics that you pick over there?
Right. So, it really depends. Some companies just ask me to come and perform because they want the entertainment factor for their employees, so there's no decided topic. If there's a specific, like last year in September, I had this offering for companies. I was doing an act specially on happiness at the workplace, because it was World Happiness Week at work. It's from September 22nd to 27th. So in those days I was going to companies with a 15-minute act and talking about, workplace happiness, whether it's a promotion or a raise, or, discomfort, any kind of discomfort that you have at your workplace. But most people are happy when they receive a salary at the end of the month. In fact, everybody is happy when they get money in their bank account. So inculcating habits, of gratitude, of thankfulness, of mindfulness, that when you receive, it's a good thing. It's also good to be grateful or happy with your surroundings, with the other employees, with your colleagues, because problems are there everywhere. We human beings function around the same emotions from across the world. And it's just how we see the world, right? You can go to work and see the cup half empty or half full. So it's a choice that you make to be happy.
I got a question when you said this, and I maybe that is a question maybe other people can also sit on and talk about. So you mentioned this point that when someone receives salary in their account, the gratitude and all that. So I kind of know what you are saying, but let me do a devil's advocate over here and explore this from the angle that what if I feel that I'm getting this salary, but what's the big deal? I work for it, so I put efforts in it. So what if I don't see it as something which I have not received by grace as such, but I've worked hard for it? So how do I kind of motivate myself to actually feel gratitude for something which I work towards? It's not that it came for free in my account.
Sure. So do you want me to answer that, or is somebody else answering it?
I'm opening it up for everyone. And if you want to answer or put, it's not so much answer, but what your thoughts? And others can also chip in.
Sure. So my thoughts, see, there are various aspects to this. Okay. One is that there's a person who is doing what they love, what they perhaps were once passionate about, and they were able to succeed at, securing a good job, a good position. But the daily, nuances, the daily complaint or kirkir, as they say, of, oh God, I came to work, there was so much traffic. Oh, why is the AC not on? Oh, why is this room too dark or too bright, or why is my colleague gay? Or, why is my boss yelling all the time? Or why is the woman sitting in front of me so fat? Various XYZ factors like this. If you're going to work with that kind of a negative mindset, then you're not going to appreciate anything in that environment. However, you're going to take that salary and go home. Yes, you may have worked hard for it, no doubt, but that satisfaction is not there, right? Whereas if you are in a work environment where you're giving it your all and still nobody appreciates your work, or you have no visibility, nobody notices you, and you have people, then also you need to look within and say, okay, how can I communicate effectively with whoever is a bother to me, and say, you know what, I have been doing this, and perhaps I just wanted to bring it to your notice. So communication is a key. We have to look at what is making us unhappy at our workplace. And if it is something that you are not happy with, if it's not a profession by passion, then maybe you need to look for a change, Or in some cases they say, oh, but I don't have a choice. I have a big house loan, a car loan, or whatever. For whatever financial reason, I have to stick to this job because this is the best option for me in the current moment. Then that's the time that you have to, inculcate this gratitude habit of starting to look at what is good in what already exists rather than what is not.
Nice.
Those are my thoughts.
Add my 2 minutes?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Right. So everything that Nikki said is very valid, especially the gratitude part. And I think at this point we should take into account the current situation and the situation as it may unfold over the next 1.5 years till whenever the vaccines, etc. come in. I feel this is a time of great stress to people. A lot of people are having to adjust suddenly from a very corporate kind of working environment to participating in the same environment but from home. So this creates a certain psychological pull. So these are the new challenges of this pandemic era, as I would like to call it. So what are the challenges specifically that we can outline in this particular era? One is that there's going to be a lot of unhappiness because there's going to be a huge amount of layoffs. Okay, that's going to be one. There will be people who will be retaining their jobs but always worried if they are going to be laid off. There are people who have to manage the household things as well as work, and they have never been doing that earlier. So it's a big challenge for them. On top of it, the absence of real human contact and the way it affects the mind without us realizing it, that is also another challenge to be addressed. And within that, what Nikki said about feeling grateful for what is there, as opposed to, oh, when do we go back to normal, when do we go back to normal, is a better mindset to adopt from a survival perspective also. And I think we should also look at what are the things that we can put on the table to tackle this new situation. That's probably my starting point to begin looking at this domain.
Okay, great. Thank you. Madhvi, Pragya, Swati, anything you would want to add, comment on this? So the question currently is, and Manish also, sorry. The question is that me as an employee receiving my salary, if I see that as, what's the big deal? I got this money because I worked for it. How can I change my focus? So what should be my focus to actually feel gratitude for it? Where I feel, what's there to be thankful about? It's pretty straightforward. I worked, I got the money, so it's not that I got it for free or anything like that. So how can I look at it from a gratitude point of view?
I feel that initially we have had for a long time, for a few years now, that one must work for a passion. Okay? Now this attitude is correct also, but it is a highly contextual also, that one must enjoy what one is doing. Now previously the way one enjoyed it was by going to workplace, by having the money which allowed one to do a lot of other things in one's life, etc. A lot of those things have suddenly altered now. So one of the things that helps in such a thing is finding a certain sort of purposefulness. Now this purposefulness can be directed towards one's own well-being, or it can be directed also towards that how am I helping the world while I'm doing what I am doing. So that kind of a higher purpose is what always takes one through difficult times. If you just look at, okay, I have to survive, that doesn't work. What one has to look at is a higher purpose, and that's what brings the impetus. Then one does not feel compelled, but one feels a sense of purpose in the midst of difficulty. So I think the mindset has to shift from just surviving in the tough time and just getting a salary and I'm just doing the work. From that particular perspective, it has to have a paradigm shift into a sense that I'm, along with my fellow beings, we are all working towards something, and there is a certain sense of satisfaction and gratitude which comes from that. Simple things like keeping in touch with people, helping whoever is needy. Now, you're getting the same salary maybe there may be a little bit of cut or whatever. Maybe you may not get the promotions that you deserve. At the same time, all of these things become very secondary when you realize that world over, there's so much misery suddenly happening to other people. And how can I help to alleviate it? Through small means, whatever means are within my disposal. I don't have to give $2 million to someone, but I can certainly help my maid. I can certainly help the people who come and help me in my daily duties, even if they may not be able to come daily. I can appreciate my colleagues who are also logging on from their homes while doing a lot of housework which was not previously part of the deal. So all these things are something directed towards changing your focus from what you were looking at before and now what you are looking at now. I was just yesterday talking to a friend of mine in Israel, and he was earlier working at an airport, and suddenly because of closing of the airlines, he's suddenly out of a job, and he was saying that times are really tough over here for him. And at this time, the gratitude that one can feel also is dependent on that others are suffering, I'm not as badly off as them, and how can I help others through the means that I have. Something on these lines should be configured, And I firmly believe that we have to output certain exercises, methodology which help people stay grounded, etc. So that is very important, to give people concrete tools to deal with things.
So there is a teacher called Nitya Shanti, and in
Mhm.
one of his talks, I remember Nitya Shanti saying attitude of gratitude.
Sure.
Having an attitude of gratitude, not that how gratitude comes is for one thing usually, that okay, you write 10 things in the night or something, and I feel those are baby steps which are very important for one to cultivate gratitude. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, it's to develop an attitude of gratitude which keeps running in the background of your thoughts.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
True.
So there's
okay.
a small, if somebody else wants to say, go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel if you're getting a salary, you're doing your work very well, that means the things are going very well. So that means your happiness level is increased, and that is what is good to show some gratitude, because it strengthens, I think, the social bonds and the relationship with others, or maybe it acts as a bridge between your hubristic pride and the connections. So it always better to show the gratitude to be a happy in life.
Nice, nice. I think I was actually trying to get that kind of concrete answer. Is that totally agree with the concept that we should develop an attitude of gratitude in this hour. That's the need. And then want to go one step further is how. So what is it that people can focus on rather than thinking what's the big deal? And especially now in this tough time when many people might not even be getting their salaries right now. Many companies are not even able to afford salaries right now. In fact,
Correct.
one of our invoices has been on hold for last 3 months as well because of this situation. So um, in this hour when we are not even getting paid for the work that we are doing, how can we realign our focus to actually still feel gratitude rather than thinking working so hard, working from home? Like I'm working even 20 hours a day now. I'm juggling with my family and all that. I'm still not getting paid. What's there to be feeling gratitude about? I think that's where I was asking the question from. So thanks, Madhvi, for that input, and also Pankaj, very valid inputs as well. I felt Manish wanted to say something. Manish, you unmuted yourself. Is there something you want to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually mention that this gratitude actually should come from a deep realization that we are insignificant. A lot of our success is dependent on the contribution of people who are around us and people who have been on this earth far before we arrived. So all the discoveries, inventions, which have created this wonderful earth and the convenience for us, a lot of them are dependent on other people. So when you think of yourself not as very significant human being, but as insignificant in the larger scheme of things, you realize that you should not really fuss about small things, because you are too insignificant in the scheme of life. So I think that insignificance brings humility, and humility will bring gratitude. Because by yourself you are powerless. Now obviously there is one thought which says, oh, you are infinite. I understand that aspect, but I think on a practical level, an individual is powerless. If you fall sick, can you research and invent a medicine to cure yourself? No. So if you I think, can possibly in these two dimensions. One, you must feel infinitely powerful in one sense, because that will take you closer to your goal. On the other extreme, you must have a humility to believe that you are powerless, that your life depends on the work of others. So I think if you can balance these two extremes, you can have a sense of gratitude, at the same time not lose focus on the work that will do ahead of you.
Nice. The sense of interdependence, that I am able to do what I am able to do is because others are also doing their bit.
Yes, I think the pandemic crisis has brought in front a very important message which needs to be verbalized and disseminated. the fact that in the well-being of other people lies my well-being. So this is something very important, because today I realize that I cannot sit at home being very, very sanitized properly if there are my neighbors are not being healthy and medically looked after, because everything is connected. We know how the virus jumps from here to there. So it's not only one's own well-being that one looks after, that we are connected, and everybody is important as my own family, and other people's medical health is also as important to preserve the health of my family. That is a very big realization that is coming in and should be brought in more strongly.
Nice. Swati, was there anything you wanted to say? I think you.
Yes, Sachin. Thank you. I feel if you are, I understood your question in this COVID-19, how we can develop the attitude of gratitude or focus on it, right? Is it so?
Yes.
For the COVID-19 situation you're asking, right?
Yes. Well, not just yes. So COVID-19 is making it a bit challenging. Yes. So it is. The question was more around that if I am receiving my salary and I feel that what's there to be feeling gratitude about, I've worked hard for it. I've put my hard time into it. And if someone says that you should feel gratitude, and I just feel like this is like a positive psychology of phrases and all that. What's there to feel gratitude about? I worked hard. It's not that someone just paid me in my account. Then I can feel gratitude that it came from nowhere. I worked so hard for it. Maybe people think I got paid less. I actually worked harder than this. So this is not much. So how to realign and feel gratitude even for something which I feel I am privileged, or no, not entitled. I am entitled for it. So why to feel gratitude about it? How can I realign my thinking of gratitude even when I feel that I am entitled?
Okay. So fortunately, I had experienced these 3 incidences, and I had thought about it before. Okay. So what I feel is I am alive today. I'm not affected by COVID-19. Is what is I should feel gratitude about, because I am blessed. I have everything. Universe has given me a good health, a good house. I can be in a good family to spend time with. Okay, that is first. Second, when it comes to my salary, so I feel there are 2-3 type of people. So one theory is that I should compare with other. So like the people, like as ma'am said, that the BIs or the contract laborers, they are not getting their salary. They are not going to get paid for whatever time we are not going to work. They are not going to get paid. But still, they are living, they are surviving, right? So we are blessed that we are at least getting half or full or whatever salary or leave deduction or whatever it is. But we are getting something out of it, though the situation is really bad. Third thing, my organization is an Italian organization. So Italy is affected badly, okay? And mine is a new organization. So we were getting support from Italy team, Italy organization to build up the business, though we are not working too great in the industry. So right now we know that we are not going to get that support as well. Still, we are feeling, and the first message when I texted to my HR that how are you, how's your health and this and that. So she had shown me her HR skills, I can say. She's like, we are blessed with the organization which is really thinking of us, and they are going to pay us. They are going to, she thought that I had asked her because of this, that I'm going to get paid or not. But that was not the question. I was just asking her help. But then I realized it, that how, that positivity or the gratitude, the attitude of gratitude she is developing in this period, that we are really doing a lot for their organization, their people, and they are also, 24/7, they are working for their people, how they can manage transport, how they can do a lot of things for them, and still we are asking them to come down. Few people say that, oh, no, I should get the salary because I had, worked a lot till day. So no, now business is affecting, so what? I should get salary. But somehow I feel when you're working in an industry, you get to know that. If you are performing, then only you're going to get something out of it. Definitely, yes, the basic salary and your basic needs, essential needs have to survive. Your EMI should go. But companies are taking care of it. And if it is not, still you should feel proud and happy that you are still working. You have such a job in your hand. There are people 4-5 months, and now this COVID will not allow them to work for next 6-7 months. So we should, we can compare as well, and we can see with the mindfulness, I can say, can be applied here, that what is the situation, we should be aware about the current situation, what is going on, and then only we will get that sense of, responsibility, or that sense of maturity, what is happening and what I'm supposed to expect out of it. This is what my take on it.
Great. Thanks.
Just if I may interject, continuing on this, I think all human beings tend to benchmark themselves as per what others are also getting, right? So, for example, a child also feels upset if the child's sibling gets something more than him, correct? So we have a tendency to always compare, and lots of times when others are doing better than us, there are sensations of jealousy which arise. Now the other flip side, the positive side of this kind of benchmarking is, if others are not doing as well but I am still doing okay, that also is something that can build gratitude. So this benchmarking can also be turned into something positive, that look, there are so many people who have lost their jobs, and of course media is throwing this in our face. There are people who are walking for hundreds of kilometers, there are people who are not getting jobs, who have lost jobs overnight with families and children to feed, etc. So why not benchmark in a positive manner and say that others are in deep trouble, at least I'm able to do this, and things will get better because if we keep working at it. And that is, I think, one of the primary bases that we can use to create this feeling of gratitude.
Yeah, thanks. I think Madhvi was also mentioning similar. Yes, Madhvi, you want to say?
Can I add one more thing? I think the expressing gratitude, it takes us away from the self-centered positive emotions to other-centered positive emotions. That means it helps us to mitigate generally the need for superiority. And that's why that interdependence, what he talked about, makes sense.
Okay, can I say something? So, okay, so one thing is that, leaving COVID and the current situation aside, if we go back to our discussion of salaries, one attitude is that, a lot of people go to work because they want to get away from their homes. And in that process, what happens is they're not really going to work because they love going to work. They're going to work because they want to get away from other problems, and work is a good space where you don't need to think of home or your relationships or whatever it is that you're actually running away from. What happens in such situations is that this person, because they're not passionate about the job, and you'll see this very common pattern, for example, especially in government offices, where people are just employed. They don't enjoy what they're doing. If you see somebody, very often you walk into a company, let's say you meet a receptionist who is really glowing, who is happy, who always has a smile on her face, and is always delivering her best. Never complains about her salary or whatever it is. That is a happy person in general, who has accepted that this is what I can do at the moment. This is what, and when you receive that salary, then you instantly have gratitude. A lot of the lack of gratitude in the workplace or for your salary, or that attitude that, oh, I have worked for it and I should get paid for it, you've not even paid me enough, comes from the fact that you created this unhappy state of mind in your workplace for yourself. So on this, I just want to share a very quick story. A few years ago, I had an amazing job, which was the dream job according to many people, had a wonderful salary, and I had that job for 4 years. But from the time I joined, I started realizing many things that, okay, this is what's wrong. I don't like this person. I don't like this nationality. I don't want to do this part of the job or whatever it is. And then at that point in my life, I realized that, well, I need the job because I need the salary. So there was a moment of awakening for me when I realized that nobody in that workplace is going to change themselves for my needs. So what do I need to do? I need to look within and see what I can do to make my day at work a fun day. And what I started doing was, since I've always been doing voice and accents, and this is kind of where the Mad Bhai was born initially, I started doing voices and accents and little bits of comedy for my colleagues. So every time I met somebody, I'd talk to them in a different accent. I would come up with a funny scenario of what was actually going on. And the bus ride from work to home, which was an hour long, I started to pretend to be a bus conductor, a different nationality bus conductor every day, even though the bus didn't need a conductor, but I would take people's iCard and swipe it for them at the entrance. What I did in that process was I changed the pattern and mindset of everybody traveling on that bus from work to home every day. These were a bunch of people who were tired, who complained about work the entire day. Kitna kaam tha, there was so much to do, this one complained, that one complained. See, we complain, again, this is an unconscious thing. We don't realize that we've made complaining such a big part of our life. And so the same people would say, why are you making so much noise? This is 1 hour that we get to sleep on our way to home. Let us have this peace of mind. But comedy is entertaining, right? And soon it became addictive for people and they started enjoying it. In that process, by the time I left that job, everybody then started messaging me and saying the bus ride home is so boring now. So people started staying awake, they started having better quality conversations with one another while they were going back home. And this was with just the help of a small change that I made in myself. The job was the same, the people were the same, the situation was the same. So sometimes, and not sometimes actually, very often we don't realize that we have created a pattern of negativity for ourselves, which then becomes fun, we don't want to let it go, because that's the thing we look forward to the most.
Right.
Which is one of the key ways that helps you in building an attitude with gratitude.
Yeah.
Can I speak a little bit about the tool that we have developed, that I've helped the company develop? It's based on creating empathy, but it's also very, very useful for creating this sense of gratitude. The tool is called Real Lives World. It's a platform, it's a simulation of human experience on the planet. So what happens in this game is that you're born within the game, in any country, in any socio-economic status, in any gender, and you live a life from birth to death in that particular country where you're born in. And you are able to see how that life unfolds. And this whole life, you have life events happening to you which are modeled on actual data of those countries. For example, if you're born in Bangladesh and your elder brother dies from dysentery, that's because the odds of that are calculated from the national statistics of Bangladesh, for example. So this gives you a very good sense of what it is like to live life through other people's shoes. So it gives you a very instant benchmark, and it tells you what your own entitlements are. So we need some kind of comparison again. We need to walk in somebody else's shoes to see what life is like. And that's when you start appreciating what you actually have. When you see that somebody in Ethiopia is born, lives on a very meager salary, doesn't know where the next meal is coming from, and when you live that life as that person from birth to death, at the end of it, you start developing an empathy to other people, as well as you start developing a sense that, I was complaining about this, but others don't even have that. And that can be the root of a deep sense of gratitude that can emerge. So just the I'm just pointing this out, that we need actual tools to make people recognize this.
Yeah, I feel something similar. A fellow trainer had shared with me. She said that they do playback theater, and playback theater is something like people perform a theatrical, but at the same time they pick people from audience, and they have to instantly react and respond to the cue. So
Right.
people are warmed up, they are taught a few techniques in the first place, and then probably if it's a one-day program, first half they do that, and the second half people have to actually get up and do it. And we've not been able to meet, but she
Right.
does that in Mumbai, and it's apparently very popular again for creating that kind of engagement. Once when it's hard, we talk about engaging people and other things, and secondly developing. It's also like the real things that come out in such kind of situations, right? When they have to just react to a cue that's given by these people. And sometimes I feel a lot of shadows get reflected of people in this process. So when I say mean shadows, is that they haven't seen that pattern of their thinking, but that gets highlighted suddenly. So yeah, I feel it's very powerful as a technique, these kind of simulations, which can bring out amazing things which will take, I don't know, might be 7 sessions or 4 sessions of counseling or coaching to really, really work and go deeper and really make a person real.
Yeah, so theater also is a very good way to get people to role play and see that others are not as fortunate. I'm far more fortunate in XYZ sense. So all these are ways of bringing home the fact that at the end of it, if you have a nice house, if you're able to stay there, if you have a family and you have a job, that's actually a lot more than what so many people are able to have. So technically you are in a very fortunate position. It's just a matter of recognizing it.
But at the same time, I also want to add another dimension to this circle of discussion of how we are doing it. I feel gratitude also sometimes is taken in a very positive way, whereas gratitude is a very neutral emotion, because all you can see is thank you. Like at the same time, you're pretty choiceless about what's happening most times in our life. Like I feel like that it's like there is a choice, there's an apparent choice that I can make, but at the same time things are happening on their own. And like right now, what the situation we are in, we can only say thank you, because if we complain, it's an enemy, we're not going to change. So it's a neutral emotion to have rather than positive, because sometimes people go on a whole positive trip and has to happen and all that, and when they are hit by something very strong, then it becomes very difficult to say thank you. Then these, one of my teachers used to call them gratitude monsters. when the monsters attack, what happens to this emotion? Do you still have the strength and courage to say thank you to a crisis, to something that you, for example, you fracture your leg or something like that? So yeah, I mean, this is another dimension to gratitude, of not going to the tangent but really striking the balance of how gratitude, how to develop the attitude of gratitude.
And we are talking about feeling disempowerment that we feel, right? Ultimately, we are talking about how to tackle the disempowerment that we are feeling and which we may continue to feel. We feel
it's not disempowerment. I feel it's more to do with surrender. Like disempowerment might be felt initially, but when you keep saying thank you in spite of the disempowerment, it becomes surrender, I think, and that's the ultimate thing that you can do to surrender your psychological mind, right? The psychological worry and the fears. So I feel it takes some time for this thought to sink in. Like for example, if you see the Zen perspective on this, they say there is nobody else out there. So, and this might be taken as a very negative thing. Oh my God, there's nobody. So we are all born alone and we are supposed to die alone. But at the same time, it means that everybody is one. So there is no second. So this is a journey from the first step to the second, and that is only possible when we also embrace the disempowerment fully and start living in it. Okay, I am completely disempowered. I have not many choices. I have apparent choices, but it's pretty choices
Right.
as well, right? And then you start surrendering, which is the second phase, and then we feel beauty. And then I feel the surrender really happens. Then there is no effort. So in gratitude, there are many layers and steps or dimensions, I feel, that have to be explored. So, like, this is something I personally have been doing for a good 10 years or so. The first time when I was introduced to law of attraction, and they told me to write 10 things in the night, and I really enjoyed that exercise. But sometimes it was very hard, and my teachers would push me that you have to do it on this day also. So that's where I'm coming from.
I would like to hear some thoughts from Pragya and Priyanka as well on this. I think they have been quiet. Don't know if they wish to share or not, but just thought give them a chance.
Oh yes.
Pragya, do you have anything to comment, share on?
Sure, Satyan, like I was going through whatever you guys were saying it.
Yeah, I saw that
And
you've been
coming-
very patiently with me, so thank you for that.
Well, it's like starting with your first question about the salary day and all, like if you talk about my overall experience, I have been grateful at every point in time my salary got credited. However, being into the current profession that I am into, since past 7 years, this salary day has never been a great day for me. Okay. Because when you're involved into the salary processing and everything as such, and you have a huge employee trying to take care of, okay. So no matter the entire month, they'll not be looking at the attendance or income tax or anything as such. However, on the day of the salary, it will all come across as a surprise to them. And that particular day, I think I would have to handle a lot of queries where at times it even becomes personal that something the company is doing deliberately to cut down the salary. Okay. Even during this pandemic situation, when the salary got credited for the month of March, this situation was no different. The only thing was that earlier I was attending these calls and queries and sessions into the office face to face, and here I have been doing it over the phone. And somehow to me, like we were talking about passion, each and everything as such. So like since our childhood, when we are allowed to make a decision that what career we wanted to make or what studies we wanted to do, somehow what I feel with the Indian education system, we do not have anything as a skill set wise to explore much. Or we just happen to have a curriculum or a syllabus which we are never going to use into a career at all for any reasons, no matter what we study. Apart from the specialized courses or vocational courses, which gives you a specialization of becoming an engineer or becoming a doctor or becoming a police person or anything as such. But even at that point in time, our Indian culture have been as such that okay, fine, this is something that the parents are going to decide about us. Okay, so if we are becoming a success, it's also something that we will not feel a gratitude towards. If we are becoming a failure, then obviously gratitude is not going to come into the picture. So until unless we don't start making decisions for ourselves since the very early of our childhood or where we get the independence from our family for the same, gratitude coming at a later stage is very difficult for the people. That self-awareness is not going to come across. If I talk specifically about my industry where the people are working, okay, the job they are doing, like the studies they are doing happens to be for the engineering courses and all. But somehow they have not been that successful into it, so they look out for the secondary options in terms of a job, okay. And obviously, when they are working onto something where they were never passionate about, or even when they were studying at something which was chosen not by them, then how can you expect that, okay, fine, they'll excel at their workplaces, they'll be damn happy at their workplaces, and then they don't have any reason to change also. They don't want to go ahead and explore their skill sets, their opportunities or anything as such. They are very much like I can say, satisfied that fine, okay, this job is earning me certain things to take care of my personal needs where I'm not dependent on to my parents. So that's fine. That's good to go. Okay, let's keep doing that, no matter for how many years it has to be done. So gratitude obviously will come when you work for something very hard. You've explored all possible options, and then you land up at certain place where you think that okay, fine, this was what I always wanted to do, and this is something that okay, fine, I am happy all about.
True. I agree with you on the point that many of us have not learned how to express gratitude. We feel entitled. We have worked hard since our school days to get good marks, to get into a good college. We feel that we've earned it, and we have been encouraged to feel that way also. When we score something, when we get something, so we are reminded that we have worked hard, and it's good to celebrate those achievements and all that, which is good. I'm not denying that part, but I think in the whole mix, as a child we have not learned how to express gratitude, and perhaps maybe as adults we are not teaching our kids also how to express gratitude as well. So although we can talk about it a lot, but I think that part in terms of practicing is missing. So I agree with your point of view. I can relate to that. Priyanka, is there anything you would like to share?
No, actually, I understand your point. What was the conversation all about, and as I know that gratitude means like we are thankful, and in corporate sector, I understand that whatever we are doing and whatever we usually understands the behavior or the environment, after understanding it and after making our mindset to be as a positive way, then we are thankful for them. That yes, so I think this is the way of understanding the things and making our mindset in a positive way, so that rather than saying thank you or being in a gesture way, to be what to say, like for example, like if I'm doing something for my friend, and he or she will be like thankful for me, then that his or her gratitude may be a gesture which I won't be able to understand, but sometimes the vibrations gives us a way that the person is thankful, or he's or she's maybe grateful to say a gratitude in or his way.
Yep. Thanks. Swati, you want to say something?
Sachin, I just wanted to add one point into it, that whatever, if it is corporate or our childhood or schooling or college or whatever it is always taught to us it is a give and take when it comes to a professional life or studies or everything. Our parents also says that, oh, I'm working so hard for your studies and you are not studying.
Yes.
So it's always give and take. I'm giving you so much, you are taking it, you should take it, and you should give, so I'll take it, kind of. So that's the reason this gratitude is missing, I guess. That's the only point, because our PMS system, our entire working system is also like that. Our boss abuses us for not doing one single task, or we are doing a lot of mistakes. So he just like, where are you? I'm paying you that much. He just come at our salary. I'm paying you this much lakh, and you're doing this bullshit. So this happens. So that's the reason, I guess, we miss this gratitude part, I guess.
I agree. I totally agree with that. That's what I was saying as well, that I have done that myself as well. So we've all done that. Sometimes when we achieve something, we celebrate because we want to, feel good that we worked so hard. we worked overnights and burned midnight oil, and now we've achieved it. So it feels like that we've earned it. So and in all that we forget that what is there to be thankful about as such, because I worked hard for it, and we are encouraged. Even our parents would also say, or friends will also say that we've seen you working so hard, so good and all that. So we feel proud, we feel entitled to celebrate that. What's the big deal? But forgetting that, yes, I worked hard and I got that what I wanted to, but by some grace, my health was intact. What if I would have fallen sick on that day itself, and I was not able to participate? What if I was going for, let's say, a run or a marathon, and I practiced for months and months hard and all that? What if on the day of marathon I would have got sick, or I would have broken my leg, and I would not have been able to? So there are so many factors which are out of our control and influence, which we don't count, and we only count that as if everything is under my control and influence, and if I earned it, then what's the big deal? I kind of made it happen. So that attitude that I made it happen is the reason why I'm not able to feel gratitude, and I'm also reminded of it, that I worked hard for it. You did all that. So what about all the other things that were out of my control and influence that could have jeopardized my chance? So not having a mindful approach, not having that expanded awareness. We live in such narrow awareness, and we feel so egoistic about it that we don't feel gratitude for things.
As the storyteller, there's one anecdote. I mean, it's not really an anecdote, but it's kind of a ironic thing that I would like to share. They say that there was a commune somewhere which had only 4 members, whose names were everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. One day there's an important job to be done, and everybody is sure that somebody will do it. Anybody could do it, but nobody does it. Somebody gets angry about it because it's everybody's job. Everybody thinks that anybody can do it, but nobody realizes that everybody won't do it. It ends up that everybody blames somebody when nobody does what anybody could have done.
Wow.
So
Amazing,
that's
amazing.
pretty much that's pretty much the story of our work lives and our real lives. When it's just become this sense of it all comes from these roots of reward and recognition, that if you do something, you have to be rewarded for it. Yeah. Whereas if we have no expectation and just do, we are not big doers because we are expecting something in return of what we do. That mindset is what needs to change.
So at Wuji, we call this process as transaction to trust.
Yes.
More so on probably Wednesday. It's about time, but yeah, amazing, very in-depth.
There is a talk that we recorded some time back. It's almost a 1-hour video on our YouTube channel. It's called Winning Support Using Chakra Psychology. So we see chakras as something that brings a psychological factor. Most of us understand chakra from healing and energy point of view. There is a third angle which is about how chakra affects our psychology, our thinking, and how we interact with the world and how we see the world. We all have 7 known chakras, the major chakras that we know of. There are more than 140 chakras in our body. 7 are the major ones that we all know of. They are all activated, but one of them is most activated out of the 7. And whichever one is most activated, that becomes our level of consciousness. That is how we live, that is how we see, that is how we feel the world, that is how we think everybody is. and we've documented this in a 1 hour talk, which explains all levels, and it's a very practicable model, from the point that I can actually, in a conversation and looking at another person, can actually figure out what their level of consciousness is and what my level of consciousness is. And that is what Ambika is saying, a journey from transaction to trust, which is a journey from what we call the Swadhisthana chakra to Anahat chakra. So how to take that journey, how to identify where we are, and how to move from Swadhisthana to Anahat. I just brought that up. If you guys are interested, then please look up our YouTube channel and have a look at it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Bye. Good day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
See you on Wednesday.
Thank you.